Hi everyone, this is Nikki. As you know from the first video of my beauty model series, I'll be presenting Warhammer Age of Sigmar's Warhammer Quest Cursed City at Mechacon Omega in New Orleans from July 23rd through the 25th. Last video, you met one of the more monstrous enemies you may encounter, the Vargskier. And today, I'll be showing you one of the heroes you may choose to play with, Witchhunter Jelsen Darrock.
Okay, so this is our drab little man right now, and by the time we're done with this painting job, he's going to be a sexy boy, the Shawn Michaels of Cursed City. And again, forgive the voice, I haven't done a lot of voice training. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the dark brown areas of the model. And that's going to be these gloves he has on. I'm going to do this strap over his chest, his boots, and his gloves right here. I might also do the underneath of his duster jacket as well in that. And these are going to be kind of a dark brown. They're meant to be a very, very dark leather. That's going to hopefully stand out from the brownish red that I'm going to make the rest of them as. And see over here, we got this satchel. I'll probably do the satchel in a lighter brown and use the dark brown here for the sheath of his sword. I think that'll look really nice with each other. So anyway, first off though, dark browns. I'm going to be using contrast Sigmar brown right here. This is a brown that I tend to use as well for dark colored fleshes, like normal for me, straight out the pot. I'm going to be using an STC base small brush. Really do like the STC brushes that Citadel came out with for working with the contrast, the synthetic fibers on it. Really, really nice job, honestly. Of paint comes off nice on it. They keep their shape a long time. I thoroughly endorse them if you're doing this kind of miniature painting right here. That said, find what you like, find what you favor. So let's see. See, this is almost like a black. I love this about what this is. Like that. Because I don't need it to be necessarily a black. I really hate doing black as far as a leather color. It always seems kind of unnatural to me. I got good detail with this brush here. Keeps its shape well. Let's see, get the end of the thumb right there. And see, take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish off the rest of this figure, and then we'll come back once when I'm done with the dark browns. Okay, so I have all the dark brown done. I ended up doing the satchel actually in the dark brown. I'd like to say there's a reason behind that, but it wasn't. I was not paying attention, and I started doing it in dark brown, and I realized, oh, I didn't want to put it in that color. But, just go ahead and run with it, I guess. So, now we're going to get into some of the reds of the coat. And before I do the big, broader features of the coat, I decided I was going to do some of the smaller ones. And specifically, I want to talk about the reinforced front part of the chest that's on his duster. And so I'm going to do that in a lighter red than the rest of the red I'm going to do the coat in. The duster I'm doing in what's called Word Bearer's Red. I'm going to be doing corn red for the reinforced steel part. So, shaking up my corn red, going back to my base small brush again, straight from the pot. This is the air paint of corn red. Now, if you didn't watch my first video, I'm not a big proponent of, well, I never was comfortable with the whole thin your paints concept, just because I'm a bit neurotic about how far do you thin your paints, what exactly do you need to get for it to be considered thin, that sort of thing. And so when I discovered the air paints, I discovered them because I found out that they are essentially a thinner version of paints, if not pre-thinned, because I need to go into an air painter as it is. So I was able to, instead of learning how to thin my paints in water, I just go straight for the air paints, and they're already thin as it is. So here we go then, doing this red detail. And one of the benefits of me doing the dark brown before this is, of course, contrast likes to go over a white area. And I was not going to be able to trust myself to honestly not paint the red and avoid the whites that we're going to need, the small detailed whites that are never going to need to happen for me to be able to use the rest of the paints. Let's see. So we got, looks like a bit of white here. Now, because this is thinned down already, I am going to need to use 2 coats of paint. You know, 2 thin coats, hashtag. But this is kind of what we're going for. And this is just for the reinforced areas. There's actually just this little area right here. And then there's this little back bit here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep the camera on right now while I do this part. Shaking up my paint again. Getting myself a new brush. And let's see. It's not a very big area that I'm actually painting right here. This is a very finely detailed area. What's always awful, of course, is when you're thinking about color blocking and you think, oh my god, everything looks like such crap right now. Because it all comes together once when everything is done. And you don't get to see all the very obvious details that you may have maybe missed. Another good benefit, of course, too, is because also the corn red is so thin. If I happen to get any on the Sigmar brown right here, it's actually not going to stand out that well for the Sigmar brown. So that's pretty important to me. So let's see. So let's go ahead. Let's do that second coat now. Just get that red deep in detail. And we're going to make a lot more of these details pop when I get to shading. We'll probably go with an Agrax Earth shade for this, honestly. Really, this step, I maybe even could have done a Flesh Terrors red contrast instead of using this. But I like a little bit of the detail. I get more, I think, control from using these air paints than I do normally. Let's see. Okay. I think I pretty much have it done. All right. So let's go ahead. We're going to move on now to the rest of the duster. Some parts of this I can use my small brush for. Other parts I'm going to need to use my medium layer brush. But I'm going to give you an example of seeing kind of what I'm talking about with the red coloring. I'm going to go for the collar of Jelsen first. Let's see. Making sure I get a little rattle ball here inside this paint. Honestly, I'm going to say I'm so glad I got these. You know, I'm probably preaching to a choir here right now, but to have this ball in here for when the paints kind of separate into different components, and it makes it so much better to be able to shake them and get them to mix together again. I really appreciate that. And, you know, it took me years to figure this little small detail out. Can you believe that? And how long it took me to figure that out? Oh my God. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with, we got Word Bearers Red now on the brush. I'm going to go on the pot collar here of Mr. Darrock. And we're going to see if we can tell the difference between the two reds. This is kind of more of a darker red, brownish colored red than corn red. Corn is a more vibrant one. Is it the most? Not really, because we're going to be doing some highlighting later on, I think, in Citadel brand Mephiston red and Evil Sun Scarlet. Okay, so there we go. Just getting the collar started. I'm not a great hobbyist. You can still see the piece of plastic that was there that when I was trying to cut it off the sprue, I didn't cut it off all the way. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over this for one more coat, and then after that, I'm going to step away from the camera and finish off this paint job, and when we come back, we'll see how well these reds contrast between each other. Ta-ta! And here we are. I have the red done. The hat looks like it could probably take another coat for, and I might do that. But we got the rest of it looking good. You know, you probably can't see much of a difference between the corn red and the word bearer's red. And honestly, I'm okay with that. You know, I kept them kind of close to each other, and that's probably on me. I could have probably gone Mephiston and it'd stand out, but ooh, that would have been such a brighter red compared to the rest of this. So now I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go do the metal parts. And I'm going to start with a lead belcher. And really what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm just kind of color blocking. And I think when I'm done with all of that, I'm just going to wash the entire model in Agrax Earthshade. That's going to work with all of them. So I'm going to do this metal parts, which are going to be the shoulder here, the foot greaves here. I'm going to do these in lead belcher, and once when they're washed in Agrax, it's going to give them a nice dirty metallic look to them. So I'm going to be going with lead belcher from Citadel, again the air paint, and this time I'm going to be using my medium base brush, something a little bit bigger because these are wider areas than normal. So let's see, we'll go ahead and we're going to start with the shoulder right here. And there we go, give it a nice metallic sheen. Now I don't need to do as many coats on this as I did with the word bearer's red. The brown is going to cover up a lot of streaks in it once when I actually start shading it as well. But let's see. That's a nice, shiny metallic on it there. Alright, so I'm going to go and cut away now for a little bit, and I'm going to do the rest of these metals, and we'll come back, we'll take a look and see what the finished metallic looks like. And here we are with the metallics done. Can see a lot of the definition of the model now really starting to come out once when that white's going away. Got the little belt buckles, and we got the buttons on the front of, on the reinforced area of the duster. This is looking good. Okay, so final steps for the color blocking. I still need to do the gun, which is going to be a lot of a mix of the colors I've already got going on. I'm going to do the stakes in Tuscarora fur to start out with. I'll probably do the grips of the melee weapons, I think, in Tuscarora fur as well. I think help them stand out a little bit better. I know I'm going to do the sword sheath now in black. So I got some contrast black Templar to do with that. And when we come back, we'll see what this looks like. And of course, I got the face in here too. I'm going to do that one in Dark Oath Flesh contrast. We're going to see how that works out. So I'm going to go and finish off these little details and we'll be right back. And here he is, all painted up, blocked nicely. Really good color schemes and pictures I think I did right here. He certainly screams monochrome red, but still, you can make out a lot of the little details of him here. Now, if you notice too on his face, so apparently he has some hair and an eye patch that I'm going to spend a little bit of time trying to be able to get some color on those as well. But for right now, we're heading right to shading him so that we can bring more of those details right out. I'm going to take Agrax Earthshade in this case, shake it up, and I'm going to use the medium base brush still for this. I've tried using the shade brushes before from Citadel, and honestly, I've never liked the way that they hold the shade liquid and the liquid comes off of them. So I've just stayed using these brushes here. So just going all over the model actually with this one. Make sure that I get a lot of this in here. I'm not going to be really too exacting here. I want to get a lot in. I want those lines for definition to really stand out. Let's see. There we go. I might even shade this once or twice over too. We'll see. Let's go ahead and let's get the bottom of these stakes here. You can see now that they really come out nicely. Sometimes too, it kind of helps if you do these maybe a bit sectionally. Like here, I'm going to go ahead and do the hat right now. I'm going to probably have to come back and do the hat in a bit of layering after this as well. You see, there goes those details in the hat popping right out. Okay, so now we're going to do the shoulder here and the shoulder metal. Probably could use an extra bit of Agrax in there. So on this left shoulder here for him, I'm going to put it on a little bit extra thick. That's going to help bring out a lot more of the detail on the coat. And you can really see that there. Okay. You know what, too? We'll go ahead and we'll add a little bit to his face as well. Give him this very dirty look to him. Dirty boy. Okay. So now we're going to do this right shoulder strap. Got the hands here. We'll get those. You know, when this figure first came out, I was all in to the Devoted of Sigmar faction. I wanted the warrior priests, I wanted the Witchhunter, and primarily a lot of my love for that came from I played the MMORPG for Warhammer Fantasy. Was it Age of Reckoning was what it was called? And such a good game from my interpretation of it. At least it wasn't nearly as grindy as a lot of other MMOs could be. It had that pickup lake feature for you to do events that required to have multiple people involved with them. And so, in the case of MMOs, I don't like having to go and spam LFG when I'm playing the Final Fantasy MMO. I felt like I had to do that a lot. And while I love Final Fantasy as an IP, I did not enjoy the what was it? Final Fantasy 11 was the first MMO that they did. I didn't enjoy 11 because of that. I did not want to have to spam LFG, LFG, LFG. So the Warhammer game, I didn't need to do that. And I was absolutely thankful for that. Absolutely thankful. Because, you know, I'm kind of a shy girl. Let's see. Get these stakes done again. Back of the satchel. Okay. We're gonna do this part here. I want to do a little bit more for these rivets right here in the back. You can see really coming out nice. One of the things I wanted to do with this video too was that maybe some people were like me and I saw this figure and I was so intimidated to paint it because of just all the detail that's on it. And it takes a long time to get used to this, but you paint enough figures and soon enough you realize that the amount of detail doesn't necessarily hint at how complex the painting job is going to be on it. You can have a whole lot of detail, but it could be a fairly benign job to be able to paint it. And this one honestly was a mostly benign job. As long as you cut down, like, what's going to make things complicated is going to be how much different areas of color you're going to have show up and how many breaks there's going to be, right? Like, okay, so you see the coat on this guy. A lot of coat on him, a lot of breaks in the coat, but they're also kind of contiguous with it too. They're just lines in it. You know, and so you're going to have a lot of these models where, I swear, 80% of the detail work on this is actually going to be the shading that's involved. And shading does a lot of work to help make a model look really nice. A lot of work so you don't have to do that. So you get the barrel on the back here, and then I need to get the back of the coat. Let's see. There. Now we're going to do. Got the back of the coat left. Those details stand out. Got a little bit of pooling there. I don't need that much pooling. I honestly like a little bit of pooling in my shades sometime, but it's so hard to work with when you got cloth things going on with your model. Large areas of cloth for me, those are a bane of my existence. They honestly are. Okay, I want to get some more brown stuck in there. I can. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go in and stick a color of paint in there. And I guess I'm going to have to do that. And I'm okay with that, really. All right. So let's take a look. Oh. Oh. Wow, I can't do that moan. I'm trying to do the Shawn Michaels music because, I've alluded to it earlier. We took a very drab, plain piece of plastic and we made him into a sexy boy. Not your boy toy. Make them shiver. Okay, that's enough of that for me. Anyway, here he is, Jelsen Darrock. And you get a chance to play with this sexy boy at Mechacon Omega when I present Warhammer Quest Cursed City. Think of this guy, he's going to be more kind of like your DPS. And the next hero I'm going to introduce a couple of the tanks because I prefer tanks more than I prefer DPS anyway. So, thank you for watching this video. I'm going to probably do a little bit more extra detail on this one, but I think for this, we've shown how to do a very complex looking model and make them coming out looking gorgeous with little effort. Thank you. Have a good day.